So far in our tutorial, when I click on the navigation menu, I have my items shown as it is. But when we look at the actual project, there is a white icon that is shown to the far right of each of the menus. So for us to implement this, all we need to do is to make a simple adjustment to our sidebar component. So I have, this is our sidebar component. For me to make that adjustment, I need to be able to flex the label icon. Okay, so for that, I need to create a div. It's going to be a flex and justify of center. Sorry, I need to justify it between, not center. Justify between. Then I align the item center. Okay, so to the left, we are going to have the label, and to the right, we are going to have the plus icon. The plus icon is an FA icon from this is coming from React icon FA. Let me be sure it has been imported. Let's check whether that has been imported. Okay. Yes, here is it. It has been imported. Okay, so let's go back to our. Okay, after this, let's see what we have now. Okay, the project is still compiling. So we have to wait for the project for that font to compile. Then we have to put in some styles. Yes, I want to use these tailwind CSS classes. Let me bring it down such that we are able to see. Or let me unzoom. Okay. So this is what the tailwind classes that we need to style that plus icon. We are assigning a blue background to it, and this is the width. And we are assigning a tailwind class of rounded full, such that we have it as circle and the background of white. Okay, so simply by putting this or adding this to our code, we should have. Let me refresh the project. Okay, now we can see that we have our icons. Okay, so now each of the sub-menus, okay, of our nav menus will then have that. Okay, but we can see what is happening here. This circle is not a true circle. Okay, so according to what we have in the real project, we can see that this is a two-word menu, which is inventory adjustment. In the project is on a straight line. On one line is because of a tailwind class, which is text no wrap. What text no wrap says is it makes word that Okay, let me put it this way. Like in this particular case where we have let me go to inventory, where we have inventory adjustment. When this navigation column is not enough, okay, if it's not wide enough to accommodate for the content that is here, it would, text no wrap will force it to be on a straight line instead of breaking into the second line. So by removing text no wrap, then we are able to adjust it this way. And so the only thing we need to fix is to make this one center our tailwind classes further to make that happen. Okay, so if I don't need our text to wrap, I don't have to say text wrap because by default text will wrap by default, so I don't need to do text wrap. Okay, what we have here is cool. So our class here should be item center, not item center. Okay, so by making that correction, the icon is now to the center because all items are going to be both vertically centralized and horizontally centralized. So that's why we are not getting it right. Okay, so that's a quick fix, okay, or adjustment to our menu. We are cool and we are good to continue with the rest of the lessons. Okay, so now let's see what the original lesson is. So now I want to create the necessary folders or directories and routes for this inventory part of the application. Okay, so what I need to do, simply go to my, let me zoom out this again for better visual. Okay, so now I have to come to my backend. So inside of my app directory, we need to create the necessary pages. So inside of this backend, I'm going to create another folder called, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name that pages. Okay, so inside of these pages, and by the way, I'm creating it inside of a parentheses so that our application route does not have to display pages for it to render to the user. So I created that backend. So then, pages, then I need to create inventory. So inventory is going to be inventory. That is another folder inside of the pages folder. So now inside of the inventory again, then this is where I need to create our items, item groups, inventory adjustment, and these are coming as folders again. Okay, so inside of my inventory, there's another folder that should be called. Oh, okay, by the way, let me use a shortcut. Here I want to use a shortcut since each of the folders now, they are routes. And in each of the routes, you always have a page. Okay, a page.jsx or jx, depending on how what your preference is. So for this particular one, I need to create adjustment, item groups, and items. So I can create a file inside of the inventory simply by using Then what is the name? The name is going to be adjustment. I do this, then in here I want to create a page, right? Please, ESX. Okay. A file or folder name cannot start with a, oh, sorry. Okay. So I do this. This will give me, this has automatically created a page. Okay, for, then I can do my RFCE and rename this to be inventory adjustment, because that is what this page is for actually. Okay, so I'm going back to the inventory. Then I need to create another page for item groups. So all I need to do here is type item groups slash page.jsx. Okay. And we call it, or name it, item group. Okay, groups, item groups. Okay, we can go back to inventory to create the third and the last one, and which is going to be items. It's going to be inside of items, and the page is page.js. Okay, and according to the project, in our item groups, in our item, we should be able to create a new item. So for us to do that, we need a different route for it, which is going to be items new. Okay, so for that to happen, all I need to do is to create another page.jsx here inside of new. What am I? Okay, I want to create a page. So all I need to do is do this new slash page.jsx. Okay, and this will be used. I want it to be RAFC. I want it to be, no, I've typed something wrong. RAFC, yes. Okay, and the name is going to be item new. Item new. So inside of our items groups as well, we need another route, which is new, just like we just did for items. And this is going to be page.jsx as well. RFC. And this is item group. It makes more sense to name it new item group. Okay, new item group. Okay, so with this, we have created the basic route for inventory management. Like we want to create inventory, we want to add product or services. Okay, so I can then simply close all these pages and let's see what app is like. Okay, so for now, we can visit each of those. Routes. Our app is still busy compiling. That's why nothing is showing. Okay. Now you can see that we are able to visit inventory item groups. And again, I can visit the items, inventory items. Okay. Yeah, this is item. Our folder name is probably named item. Let me quickly go and confirm that. Adjustment, item groups, items. Okay, it is, we name it items, and there is a page here. Okay, we have not put any code in there. That's why it's not finding any page or content to display. And this is item. Okay, I simply say item or item or items. Let's name it items. Okay. Now we can see that it's being loaded. So when each of these routes are visited, now we can see those contents that we already have in. So in continuation of the project, what we would then need to do next is take a look. If I visit this, I come here and I'm having these items displayed. Okay, but in the actual project, when you click on this, we still always have our both the top navigation bar and the side navigation bar are constant or present. What that means is all of these items are using the same layout as for the rest of the dashboard part of the application. So what I need to do is to ensure that the layout is available, okay, to these children of the inventory children. Okay, so this is and what we need to do to achieve that is bringing in the layout. So let me do that. So since the pages or the route inside of my inventory currently now have access to the layout where I have the sidebar and the navigation bar. Okay, what I need to do is to create inside of the pages a file named layout. It's not going to be the new, it's just going to be inside of that inside of the pages. So I need to create a layout .js or JSX. I'll go for JSX. So inside of this layout, I'm going to simply copy and paste my layout that is coming from the dashboard. Let me show from here. There's one here. And by the way, I can simply rename this to JSX as well for uniformity's sake. Otherwise, nothing other than that. Okay, so now that we have a layout, okay, for the pages, I then need, let me just change the name. Let me rename it. This one is for management reason. Can I call it more backend? Okay, this is the root layout. Sorry, this is the root layout for that wraps across all the entire project. Okay, fine. On my backend, On the dashboard, I have another layout. Okay. But in the back end, I don't have any as it is now. Okay. So in the back end, yes, need to create layout.jsx. That's for the, so this layout would work with everything inside of the backend. So this is where this should come to. So we are importing the sidebar and the navbar. Okay. Then let's wait for it. If there is any error, we check it out and fix it. Otherwise, we continue. Okay. And in my back end, let me back end layout. Yes, the name is okay. Okay, we have errors or error, one error, navbar. Something is not imported properly. Okay. Let's check where our navbar is coming from. Okay, let me go to the component and check my navigation bar. How is our navigation bar exported? It is exported as a export default. Okay, it is exported as default function. As a result, we can import it as a constant function. That should fix the problem. Okay, there's another complaint, navbar, check render method of layout in the navbar. Okay. Render method, check that out quickly. Export default. Okay. Okay, there is another layout inside of pages. Okay, for the time being, let me remove this. Yes, actually the layout should be wrapping everything inside of this backend. So let's add some style to our pages. On my adjustment, let's do this. Just add this today. On items group, we do the same. On the new, we do the same. On item, let's do the same. On item name and an item. So here we have a style applied to our page in the items. Then on the new item group, new item groups, then adjustments. Okay, so let's see what we have now. Okay, this is item groups, inventory adjustment. So now we can see content in view at least because we have styled it a little bit. Okay, so let me go back to home. Okay, when we come back home, okay, here we are going to see that we are having our original welcome component. Surely the nav, both the top nav bar and the side nav bar fixed, which is cool. And we should be having our welcome component, which we have, which is fine. Where the problem is that we are having this footer part and we are equally having it here. You see in the dashboard content, and we are equally having the welcome here. So this is the time for us to work on the layout. This is just a layout issue. Okay, we are duplicating layout somewhere somehow in the project. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, this is our whole application structure. When we go to the app or come to the app, let's look for the layout. This is the root layout. Okay, and it's housing the children here. Every other part of the application, whether it's route pages, APIs, everything is being are coming accessible here. This layout is wrapping all the application. Okay, so this one should be fine. So when I come to the backend, in my backend there is another layout, and that's in our backend layout we having our sidebar and our navigation bar. Okay, which is responsible for this and this, the top part, which is fine. Okay. Okay, it means that in the overall application, sorry, in the dashboard part of the application, when we visit dashboard, this route, then we should have this. In our sidebar and our navbar is fine. Okay. Let's see what we have in the sidebar. Are we importing another component like the welcome component? No, surely it's not being imported. Okay, so this is still okay. Let's try to visit in items on the inventory. Okay, cool. The welcome is not showing. Okay, and the footer is not even equally displaying here. Our inventory. Okay, so as far as this project structure is concerned, even our inventory is fine. The route inside of our back end, okay, which is being this one, which is being utilized by the children meaning the pages and the dashboard are still okay. Now let's go to the dashboard. In our dashboard, this is our layout for the dashboard. Okay, our layout is having the welcome and is having the dashboard footer, which is fine. Okay, let's check. Let's go back home. So this is where the repetition is coming from. Okay, let me come home here. Okay, this is where we need to take care of this guy. So in the home page, the sidebar isn't necessary. Okay, this is not necessary. In fact, nothing is necessary here except for the main component. Let's see how that plays out, and then I will know whether I'm going to remove these styles. So as it is, even all of these ties are not needed. Actually, we can just return only this main as a component on the home page. Okay. That should fix the problem here. That should fix the problem here. Okay. So now we can see that there is no repetition of any of these components. When we come here, we find the footer. We find the footer. Okay. Then when we come to our inventory, let's see. Yes, the footer is gone. The welcome is gone. So now that we have done this, we are now ready to start creating the forms that can be used to enter or to capture items and item groups and all that. Okay, so the next step for me will be to create this component. I am going to create a container, a card container component, meaning that there's going to be a component with a parent div that is going to contain a card component, and that card component is going to be used, okay, for making this interface accessible to the user. So the card component itself is going to have item groups. Sorry, it's going to have a label, which we can see here. It's going to have image. It's going to have a description, and it's going to have a link, then a text on the link. So let's do that. So we'll have item card container. So in our component folder, I'm creating an item card component, and here I've created another one, items card container. Okay, our item card container, simply item card container, this is all that we have to read. It is created and we are exporting it as a default function. It's taking in one single argument as a prop, which is card. I name it card, and here is it will be iterating over all our item card components, and the details are supplied as this. Okay, so I can come here. This is my item card component. This is the actual component that contains this. Our item card component takes in 5 different props. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first is the title, the image, the href, the description, and the link, which are, this is our title, this is the image, this is the description, this is the button, and the text on the button. You can see we have different types of different content on the button. So that is the link text. Okay, so it's taking all of these props, and we are returning it as this. I'm wrapping the link. I'm wrapping the link text using the link component and the style that is necessary for it to look the way it's looking. So that's basically what we have. So our item card expect 5 props as we have them here. So, and I'm styling the image with a width of 130 and height of 130. Where we feed in, or where we utilize our components is I come here to my back end, I go to pages, I'm coming to items, and this is where we need to feed in or utilize our card container. This is where we need to utilize it. Okay, so in my item, currently we just simply have item. Item show, so that you can see this is where we have it. So here, this is where we need to load the content into view. So for the tutorial, I have already prepared these images. I'm going to move the images into the project folder for usage. So here are the images. I simply name them item 1, item 2, item 3, and item 4. Okay, so now it's in our project image. Okay, so now that we have the item card container component created, we can utilize it here. Let's bring it in by importing it. Import items card container. Okay, here we would have to use it as a component. Okay, let's go to our item card container. So our item card container is expecting a prop called card. Okay, let's go back here and put in cards as a prop, and we throw in our so here we need to throw in the data that the card is going to utilize. So, and our card data, we create it as an array, okay, of objects, as an array of objects. So the card data is an array of objects with all of this, and this is where we define the routing. Okay, so, and you have to notice that the routing pattern here is following our naming convention in the pages: inventory, adjustment, item groups. Inside of our item groups, there is a new. Okay, item, there is new, there is page. So here in my item, inventory items new, and there is composite new. Some of these, okay, like we don't currently have a composite items, that will be created as necessary as we continue with the project. Okay, here we can add more card, and depending on the project size, like our array of objects here might just be coming from the database, so it all depends. So I have this, and the card data, we supplying it to the card here. We don't see. Let's check our project and see what we have. Okay, yeah, so our card is doing the magic for us. Okay, so now let's visit our dashboard home. What do we have? We have it as we have what we're expecting. Let's go to item. Okay, now that's cool. Okay, then from here, let's visit our new item group. Okay, new item group. Because the route was created, the routing was created from here, item groups, new, this one, new item group, created. It was created earlier, right? You can see. So now this is where we then need to create the form according to the project. So now that we have our item container, our card items and card item container working the way we want it. Okay, it is time for me to create this component. This, like what we have here, this is a fixed component. You can see it contains different contents. Okay, but that card can be made as a reusable component. So I will create a reusable component for that. I'm coming to the component, and this component is going to be considered to be a form component, because inside of this we are going to be having a lot of forms. So for the project to be easier to manage, inside of my component, this component folder, I'm going to create another folder called name it as form. So it is inside of this form where I would like to create a dashboard form header. I'm naming this. Okay, so this form header is going to be used across multiple form. Yes. So now we have the DS form. So I will have to, and our DS form header is going to take up 3 props, which is going to be the title, href, and elements. Okay, these are names that I come up with. Okay. So here I'm simply going to return so I'm styling the form header. It is having a white background. It's already, we can see it. You can see it here. And this is where I want to wrap anything that I want on this icon. Sorry, on this part of the component is what I'm calling or naming elements. So any element is going to come to this side, and our title is going to be here. And whenever we cancel or close, where we go to, the route we are taking to is where we are going to fill in the route. That's why I decided to make this component accept 3 props. And on my header, h1 tag is where I'm displaying the title, and in the link is the href, which it links to, and the element is what will wrap the content that are shown or that has been seen here. Okay, so, and I need to import this from React link, the link from React link. Okay, so with what we have now, we have the reusable header component for our forms. This is where we utilize it. Let's go back to pages, item on this one. Okay, instead of item show that we currently have here, then we make use of our component here. Let's make use of our DS form header. So this is our DS form header. It must be up here. It has been imported. The props as it should be used here. So our components, okay, is expecting these three props. DS form header is expecting three props, which are tied to. And tied to, since we are on item group, otherwise we items, where is the page? Okay, I can supply it as item. Second prop being href. Okay, so this is where wherever we want to link to, and the third being the element. So our elements, okay, for now, let it as that. For now, let me just write element. So here, let me throw in the element. So the element is containing a lot of GSX here. Okay, and I'm styling it appropriately. Here I'm bringing in the tooltip. Our tooltip was created some lessons back. It's a reusable component that we are utilizing on our navigation menu. And this is what our tooltip looks like. Just trying to display it. Our tooltip, yes, this is our tooltip. We don't need to go into it anyway. So we are utilizing our tooltip. Again, that's the beauty of a reusable component. Okay, so let's see what we have. Okay, on our item, okay, we are still not seeing any. Let me refresh the project. Tooltip is not defined. Okay, we have to import it, and it's going to shout for FA plus 2. So let's FA plus, let's import it as well. Okay, so tooltip is imported, FA plus is imported. Okay, so with this, let's see whether we have any error. Oh, BS3 dots. This is another component. BS3 dots. It's another reusable component we use that is being imported from. Okay, it seems that it's not yet imported. This is coming from React icon. This is where I import it. Okay, it's coming from React icons VS. Let's show VS. Okay. It has compiled successfully. Our DS form, okay, is taking in 3 arguments: title, the link, and the element. Okay, so as we continue with the project, we are going to find a way of determining where these icons are led to, okay, or are linked to. So for now, let's make it this. So now we can then reuse our form this header as we please. Okay, so when I click when I click on this items new, we want to be able to, let's just click on it and see we are coming here. So here we want to supply an header, okay, an appropriate header for this route. All we need to do now is let me come to the item groups. This is a page and this is a new. We are not yet working on the new actually. Item groups page. Okay. So here we need to use don't let me remove the content. New item group created earlier. Okay, so if we need new item group created earlier, I actually needs to use it here. Yes, this one. Okay, so let's bring in our BS form header component. Okay, and let's pass its own appropriate title, new item group. We are going to put the appropriate content and href for the time being. I put in this. We don't even, it's not even necessary for it to be wrapped in the curly bracket, and as well just be like this. Okay, and the element. Okay, in the elements, let's just throw in a div or flex. Let's just close it. No. Okay, let me just do this. Okay, and this is item new item on the item button link. So now you see what we have here. We are simply making use of that reusable component, so we can determine what the appropriate content are for this, and you just simply utilize it. So in the new item group, okay, let's utilize let's bring in our reporting element here. My import was spelled wrongly. Yeah, there is an X from usage React, and that X, let's use it here. So in our new item groups new, we should be having this closing X. This X we are going to use to close this button. So in continuation, thus far we have moved. When you come to inventory, we have these three navigation items: item groups, inventory adjustments. Okay, on clicking on inventory adjustment, we simply just having this one being displayed. Item groups is being displayed, but we have worked on our item. So on this interface, we are utilizing our reusable header component, which we are going to use throughout the form interface. Okay. Okay, so this is what item groups new, and we are utilizing the our reusable header where we feed in new item group and the close button. So that is what we are going to see in all of the form interface. Yes, on the inventory. Okay, so when I click on create new item, it takes me here. What we are interested in creating is when I click on create new item, I want to have this form displayed. Okay, so in the form, let me scroll down. So this is what the new item entry form looks like from Zoho inventory system. Okay. Okay, so this is what the form looks like. Yes, everything is now being displayed. Okay, so to begin, let me quickly show you what we are going to cover in the form. Okay, as part of the form will not be necessary for our tutorial series. On the tracking inventory for this item, this part of the form, we are not going to cover it in this tutorial series. We are going to cover this part of the form. We are going to cover sales information, purchase information. Then on the middle part, this part, we are going to cover the dimensions, the weight, the manufacturer, and the brand. All of these other inputs are not going to be considered in this particular tutorial. Okay, but of course, the principle that we are going to use in all of the other input that we cover remains valid, okay, for any of the other part of the input field that you may, as a user or as a learner, want to implement in your own project according to your need. So we will be covering the top part, including this image loader, even though I'm not going to style it exactly as it is found here. We are going to cover this up to brand and manufacturer, and we are going to cover sales information and purchase information. Track inventory, we are not going to handle. And there is a sticker footer on the form where we have save and cancel button. We are not equally going to be implementing this part of the form. I will simply put a submit button or save button on the form here, and that button will be used to undo the form submission to our database. This tutorial is not going to cover that part of the database, but our next tutorial will definitely will be working on creating our models where we can communicate with the database and save information from our new item form that we are going to create today. Okay, so let's continue. as a result of the forms that we need to create, there will be need for a lot of different components, okay, such that the form can be manageable, okay, for now and even in the future, in case we want to extend the form to include more fields, like especially like the ones that we are not going to factor in this time. And for us to be able to manage, because when you look at when you come to the form, the default one is the good or goods, okay. We can equally invent or manage services through the inventory system. And for services, some of these fields becomes not required, okay. So in order for us to be able to manage how the interface switches, okay, upon clicking, even on this, you see, when I click on this, cost price and account is no longer compulsory or required if it is a purchase item. And the same thing goes for, I mean, when you uncheck rather, if it is not sales item, you know, when you are not adding sales item, this becomes not required field, and so on and so forth. That's it. So in order for us to manage all of these stuffs well, and for the form to be manageable, I will be creating a couple of components that we then again import on the form interface. Okay, so let's get going. So again, as usual, in order not for us to in order not for the video to be too long, I will be working with components. I will create those components and come back to explain them. That's number one. Number two, we need to install a couple of okay, for our form, I'll be making use of Shadcn, some Shadcn component. Okay, so on Shadcn, we be okay. Let me go to installation. Okay, because I know the command to use to install those components. Let me create another interface for the. Okay, so we are going to be making use of a command npx Shadcn at latest. Then we are going to be adding all of these components. We are going to be adding label, checkbox, label, text area, or input. Okay, if there's anyone that I forget, once there is need for us to use it, I will remember, then we come and add it again. Otherwise, let me checkbox, label, text area, input. There are a couple of other ones. Let me quickly check. Simply click, enter. All of these. Yeah, let's say yes. Okay, so while this is being installed, I can didn't I click yes? Okay, I will go for the default color. Fine. So now that all of the components that we need have been installed, if there's something that I missed, we are going to add it later. And a couple of things has been installed and configured on the system. One is this components.json. Okay, we can see okay, and it's using icon library from Lucid. Okay, so we just need to check. Let's check our projects. If anything is broken, we fix it and continue. Okay, our inventory. Let me refresh after adding that Shadcn. Okay, something has been broken here. This has to do with the Tailwind CSS configuration. This is our Tailwind CSS. Okay, this is what is happening here. While this is being installed, some of our configuration is overridden. Let me check on the. Let me check next config. It's not this. Okay, Tailwind CSS. Okay, it's not this. Okay, let me quickly find out what it is and come back. So after the installation of our Shadcn, and we only needed to add this line to our tailwind.config.js file, which is here, and then on the plugins, tailwind.animate, this is optional for Shadcn. So after having added these two, okay, I equally included this CSS, okay, in the app router extensions. Okay, so any file that is in the app router, which is in this app, all of the files, the extension that we want the application to be able to use without a problem is anything .js, ts, gsx, tsx, and css. And since our css, the global css, okay, is a .css file is inside of it, that's why I just added this. Okay, and so after adding these two, and this is what our global css file looks like. Don't know why it's taking long to open. Okay, and on our layer base, we are adding these ones. Actually, by default, these are just added. Okay, so let's go back to. So now our application is okay, is now using our Tailwind CSS. Okay, so let me click on new. Okay, so this is our form that we are interested in creating. Let me go back to it. So all the components, Shadcn component that we installed, they are installed inside of components, inside of UI. Okay, this is our Shadcn. But what I would like to do, okay, for manageability sake, so I would like to create a folder inside of the component and name it Shadcn. Okay, so inside of this Shadcn, I'm going to move all my UI into it. Okay, so this is just for us to know that everything in the UI is coming from Shadcn. So we have all of these components as so. Okay, so now it's time for me to create all the form components. And for our form component, because there are a lot of components that we will be using for our forms, that's why we created our DS form header. So as a result of that, I'm going to be creating all the components inside of the form, inside of the components. Okay, so that's how I want it to roll out. So another thing that I've done, when we have our components, I'm going to be explaining them. And remember in the previous tutorial, one of the previous tutorials, we created a reusable tooltip component. Okay, I have decided to keep this tooltip component. Although for now I'm no longer utilizing it in the project. I've created another one, which is an extended one. And the only difference on this one, or the advantage of this one, is that we are able to determine where our tooltip content is displayed, whether it's left, right, top, or bottom. Okay, which we didn't have the opportunity in the first one. So for that, we are including another params, which I am defaulting to bottom, and I'm including another function that gets the placement. Then we are using the switch method, where we can switch the placement from top, right, left, and bottom. Okay, so that is. And as a result of that, I'm using a CLXX, XX, which is a React component. We are utilizing it to wrap our tailwind CSS styles here. We can equally using an inline CSS, where I use a ternary operation or operator to bring it in. Only that this seems to be more easy, okay, for beginners to understand. Okay, so that is about that on the tooltip too. So I will be keeping the first one. Okay, now we need to go to our project. So I'll be going to the backend, going to pages. I'm going to items and new item. Okay, so inside of our new item, the first thing I want to bring in the reusable header component. Let's import the DS. What's the name, by the way? Let me check the name. Let's quickly confirm the name. Inside of our components, we need the inside of the form. Okay, this DS form header. Okay, so let me bring in. Okay, it's default. So I'm bringing in the DS form header. So here, inside of the div, let's utilize it, DS form header. Okay, remember our DS form header is expecting some params, title, href, and element, which I can simply copy. I can copy and paste. However, there will be shout because it's not expecting any any comma. It's not expecting any comma. And okay, our title. Okay, since we will be creating, by the way, even for the title, there is no need for. So for the title, I will be calling it, let's name it new item. Let's name it new item. For our href, for now, until we decide where it should go, let's just use. And for our elements, we are going to be bringing in a div to wrap in the elements. Oh, our X here is actually a component, so it should be brought in as a component. Okay, so we are bringing in our cancel button that is imported from Lucid React into a button component. Okay, with this we should have our close button. Okay, so another the next step is to create our component for all of this. Okay, so let me continue. For this, I am going to create. Okay, so now notice that this is a component. Okay, so I want to bring in another component for the form, which is yet to be. Okay, so on this, I have created the component. I name it new item entry form. So in my new entry item entry form, a couple of components are imported, and here we are making utilizing the select, which is coming from UI from Shadcn. Okay, remember we created a folder inside of our component Shadcn, and we brought in the UI elements that were installed from Shadcn. So all of these are being imported because we are using them. I will be making use of the tooltip, okay, from Tooltip 2, okay, in this particular form. And all of the components that are needed are imported. Okay, so because of the project, here is an upload component. So because of that, I decided to create a multiple image uploader component here. And for our manufacturers, you see, when you come here, and where is the manufacturer, by the way? Yes, okay, when you come here, okay, you are going to have the list of manufacturers that you have added to your inventory system. And if there are none, or you want to add more, you click on this, and we have our model pop up here, and we can add a new component. Okay, so that is the reason why I'm creating a separate component, so that our form is manageable. So that manufacturing component is here, but let's forget about it for now. I will coming back to explain it. Okay, so these are the components. Then for our label, we need input, we need checkbox, text area, we need all of these. All of these are coming from our Shadcn, label, input, checkbox, and text area. And another separate component is our item type selector. Our item type selector is necessary. Why? Because when I select services, okay, some of the inputs are no longer required, but when we are on goods, these are the unit part of it is required. So that in itself necessitated that we have an item type selector. Okay, the item type selector can be written as a function. Okay, in the our new item entry form, but the form will become uh, hard to manage. Okay, as a result of that, uh, item type selector is created as a reusable component and is expecting two props, item type and onChange event. Okay, that is going to be used to change the event on value change. Okay, as we utilize here. Okay, and what I'm utilizing here is the label. This is coming from the Shadcn, and my tooltip. We are utilizing our tooltip from Tooltip 2 here, such that we can factor in this go question. And by the way, this go question is a component that is coming from React icon go, and that is to be used in all of these instances. Okay, it's a question mark. We are reusing it in a couple of places in the form, and our tooltip is used to make the information, okay, shown to the right. Okay, so this is what our item type selector needs. We are utilizing the radio group item from Shadcn. Okay, I might be creating a dedicated video for Shadcn components in the future. Otherwise, this is what we have now. And okay, for the purpose of following through, let me slowly scroll it down. Okay, so on our entry form, new entry form, we are now importing all the necessary components. If anything is missing, I'm going to bring it in. Okay, so we are creating our new item entry form as an arrow function, and it is imported here as a default function. Okay, so in our components, let me try to explain. Okay, so we are wrapping all of those inside of our form tag. Okay, and in our form tag, okay, these are some of the necessary so we are creating some states to manage our state of the form. Show sales info, we are setting it to set show sales info, and by default it is set to true, because when the form is open, what is active on the form is a sales information, and we are equally showing or setting our show purchase info, okay, to true. This is because, let me check on the form. You see, this is auto check when the form is opened. They are both auto check. So that is so I'm using these two functions to set them as needed. Then on the images, okay, images and set images is by default set to an empty array, because this form, okay, would allow that we upload multiple images. for a particular item or service. Okay. So our images and set images is being set to empty array to handle that. Okay, again, we are creating some other functions, set item type and set item type and set item type. So by default, our item type is open to goods, okay, not services. And so for part of the, some other part of the form component that are needed are fielded as we can see them here. Okay, by default, they are set to, this is set to empty, SKU is set to empty, unit is set to centimeter, returnable, that is for us to know whether the item is returnable, is set to true by default, capital asset is false by default. This is what we are utilizing. Okay, you see, when we come here, when you open the form, returnable item is by default checked, and it is a capital asset is not checked by default. Okay, so this is what we are using to be able to manage the state in that category. And we equally have a manufacturer, brand, weight, and dimension. Our dimensions, we may need to add more to this, okay, because for dimension, we'll be saving our dimension as length, weight, and height, okay, according to what the form is. According to this form, this part is a length, the middle part is the width, and the last part is the height. Okay, and these are the units, centimeters or inches. So that is why the unit here is by default set to centimeter. Okay, so we'll be managing our form data, okay, using our useState hook. Okay, another thing is the handle change. Handle change is a function, okay, that is used to determine whether a checkbox is checked or is not checked. And if the checkbox is checked, okay, then we throw in the value. We want to bring in the value when it is checked. Okay, so let me close this. Handle item type change. Okay, this is equally handling our item type change, whether it is services. You know, by default it is good. If it is services, we are setting returnable to false. Okay, if the value is set to services, returnable, we are setting it back to false. And what was it here? Returnable is true. That is where we are setting it to false when it is services. Okay. Okay, now there is a giant function which is to handle our submit button. Okay. By default, we want to make it to prevent default action of a form handling. Okay, so that it doesn't trigger form to be submitted when the form is open. Okay, and here I'm trying to put the condition inside of a try catch loop, so that if there is any error, okay, in form submission, we return the error here. And if there is no error, we try to loop through the object, okay, and we wrap them in a form data. This form data that is this constant function that is variable rather that is created here. It's going to save a new form data function. This one is coming from JavaScript, and whatever it is set into the form data, okay, this is where we access it, and we then append all the keys and the values, okay, of the form data entry into it. Okay, this is where we handle our images. You see where we set images here, where we set images. I'm trying to, yes, here, where we declare our images and we set the function of images to use empty array. Okay, so we are now making use of that images here by looping through the images. We are taking this as an argument, okay, and we are utilizing the form data, and we are appending all the files that are in the that a user is trying to upload, and we are making it to be primary. By the first one will be taken as primary, and the other ones will just be additional images. Okay, so this part of it of the code, it is going to be used to handle the form submission into the backend. Okay, this is an API that we are going to create. It's not yet created. We have not even started anything API. Okay, in this application, in this tutorial series. Otherwise, when it is created, this is what we are going to use to handle it. The name of the API route might change, but for now, it makes sense for me to just say new items. Okay, on that API, and I'm wrapping the body. The body, our fetch function will be expecting the method, and we are dictating the method to be a post because it's going to be a post, and the body is the form data. We are putting everything from the form data, form input, images, everything that is submitted by the user, we assign into the body. Okay, so our fetch method is expecting two parameters. The first one is the route, and the second one is the object, is an object that contains method and body. Okay, if we want to add any other further security measures, we can add them here. Okay, to filter the input. Okay, otherwise, whatever we get from the response, okay, from our fetch method, we are going to check it whether it's okay, if it's okay, we continue. If it's not okay, we throw an error. Otherwise, we find the form. We await the response from the backend, and we use it as it should be used as necessary. Okay, so I think I have tried to explain what each of these does. Okay, if there's anything that is not clear, don't hesitate to get to comment on the comment section, then we can sort it out. Then on the form, this is our form. I think I've tried to explain it. Our input, this one is coming from Shadcn, and it's taking all of these properties. And our class name, this is where we style what the import form looks like, and this is the label. This is the one that shows what the input here is expecting. It's a name, okay, which is the name of a product of that particular item. Okay, and this is our SKU and all that. So after having put all of this, and again we are using our select from Shadcn, and we are wrapping our select trigger. All of these are coming from Shadcn, and this is the selected item. All of the items that we want to make available to the user, we wrap them inside of select content component, and we put select item. Each of the items are wrapped in the select item. We assign a value. This is the value that is going to go to the database, and this is the one that is shown to the user so that they know what they are working on. Okay, And here we are trying to determine if the item type is good. The items that was declared earlier on, yes, item type. So if the item type is good by default, which is by default, okay, sorry if I'm too fast. Okay, so yes, here I'm determining if the item type is good. That is to say, the what user select is good. By default, is going to be good. That and only that, you should then put in all of these elements, display this element to the user. Okay, from here, everything after this and sign inside of this banana bracket, okay, should be displayed to the user. Otherwise, it's not going to be displayed to the user. Okay, and on capital assets, we are handling the form. It's almost the same way. Okay, this one I'm using the regular input from HTML. We might need to change to the input of Shadcn if it is necessary. I don't think so for now. Okay, so this is what our forms looks like. All the other part of the form, okay, is all about utilizing our tailwind CSS to style them in a way to look close to the application that we are trying to build. Okay, so I think I've explained all of this, so there is no need for repetition. There's no need for repetition. And on our checkbox, we are only trying to show the information, show sales information if the checkbox is checked. Okay, and we are using this to style it according to our need. Okay. And here I'm simply utilizing a ternary operation. So our label will always have font to be normal. That is why it is outside of this. Otherwise, we are wrapping this, okay, to say if sales information is clicked, okay, let the text be red. Otherwise, let the text be gray. The same, we are utilizing our state management here. If show sales info, okay, is true, okay, it is the selling price, display selling price with asterisk. That is to say, it is make it to be required. Otherwise, just say selling price, display selling price without the star or without the asterisk, which means it's not required. So our ternary operation is being utilized here to just to manipulate the state. Okay, if the same thing is used, okay, for our show purchase information, as you can see. So if the user click or the show purchase information is active, okay, then display the text as, okay, display the text as appropriate. Okay, so that is it. And on our undo button, this is the button that we are going to use to undo the form submission. We will be calling on our undo submit function later on when the database is ready and we continue with our project. For now, this is what our new item entry form looks like. Okay, so let me roll back. Then let's test let's check what the app is. I need to refresh this. Okay, seemingly nothing is coming up. Okay, what should be happening? It simply means we have not imported yet. So our new, we should be bringing in this one now. Okay, we should be bringing it in. I'm importing. Okay, to ensure it's imported, let's bring it in. Okay, so this is our new entry form, new item entry form. Okay, and let's see. It's compiling. I think it's successful. Okay, let's wait. Application error, server-side exception has occurred while loading localhost. Okay, this happened before the form was properly imported. Let's just wait a moment. Okay, it's still, it's now compiling. It's now compiling. Okay, okay, yeah. Now we have our form. Now we have our form, and like I said we were going to be covering the top parts, the dimension parts, without the UPC, EAN, MPN, ISBN. And on sales, I said we were going to be covering the sales info, purchase info, and this other part, I said we were not going to be considering it for now. I mean, for this tutorial, actually, we are not going to add it at all. Then on the footer part, I simply said we'll just utilize a form. Okay, we utilize a form, I mean a button to submit our form. Okay, so for now, this is what our form then looks like. Here you can utilize. Okay, okay. According to our form, according to this form, okay, we can see when you click on the dimension and you are trying to enter certain dimension, okay, everything is there is no scroll button that is being shown or displayed. But when I click here, you can see this arrow, up and down arrow. Okay, this is the default. We need to go to our global CSS, okay, and implement some WebKit manipulation or adjustment, so to say. Okay, so let me bring in the code. So when I click on this, we see these two arrow buttons. I click on this and I click on this, it's the same, but it is not the same when we use this. Okay, so this is the default behavior of this input type, which is a number. By the way, let's go to the form. I'll show you that the input type here is a number. Okay, and this is the default behavior. New entry form. Let me look for dimension. Okay, you can see this is where we have our dimension. Okay, the first input is the dimension length. It's a number. You see the type is a number. So by default, that is what you see as the behavior. So in order for us to override that behavior in our tailwind CSS, I'm going to be extending, I'm going to be adding this to the art layer utilities, okay, of the tailwind CSS. Okay, so we are taking in the semantic tags of the inner spin button, and if it's on most appearance, let it be text field. So by simply adding this line of code to our global tailwind CSS, our global CSS file, we take care of that behavior. You see, when I now over or make it active to type in figure or value, is no longer being shown. Okay, and here we can select the dimension. Okay, on weight, I just use the same way to manipulate the weight. Okay, and here we can take whether gram or kilogram or lib or ounce. Okay, according to whatever unit of weight that you want to utilize. Okay, our set input is set to check by default, is set to check by default. If I unclick it, it makes my cost price and account to be not required. Otherwise, by default, they are required. Even selling price and account are required. By default, they are required. So, and this is, I have just tried as much as I can to make this look close. Okay, to make it close to what we have in the actual application. Preferred vendors. Okay, on preferred vendors, we are going to be adding some vendors to it later. Otherwise, what I currently have is a placeholder. Is a placeholder. Okay. Yes, and on our drag and on our upload component. Okay, I think this is a good time to recheck. Wait, let me put in some images here and then drop. Okay, so when you drag and drop on this image uploader, okay, one of the images will be set as primary. Okay, I only make this one to be small, the component to have a small width, otherwise it was going to be larger and you are going to see. So this image is set to be the primary and all these ones are other part of the images. When you over it, you can close it, like you can close it. I mean, closing it means we are removing it from the state. As it is loaded here, it's not yet in the data in our application. It's just stored on the browser state, okay, on the application state. And this is the primary. So if I decide to make this one or to set it to be the primary, I simply click on it. It has now become the primary image for this item. Okay, and you can over it and use this red close button to close or to remove it from the state, and you can add more images to it. It will stay. Okay, so let me explain. Let's go back to this image uploader component, and I try to explain as much as I can. Otherwise, you will always have the code that you can type to learn. So this is the multiple image uploader component. Okay, I'm setting it to accept two props, which is images and set images. And by the way, this is such that the images that are uploaded, okay, when you drag and drop on this form, okay, it is not stored to the database. It's just being saved in the memory of the state. It's managed by the state of the Next.js application, which is the same as React application. So it's being managed by the states. Okay. It is only stored when this button is clicked, when all the other form elements are submitted. So for this to be achievable, we have our multiple image uploader component. Okay, so it's accepting these two props. So in our, let me copy this and look for it here. So in the form where we are using it, that's why we are accepting those two props. We are setting the images and we are setting the images, whatever images that are stored in the state, we are setting it to the second prop of set images. Okay, so that the values of the images, okay, are then, and their properties are now available to these new entry form components, okay, where it is being imported and utilized. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so for our multiple image uploader to function as it is, number one, we are setting a drag active. We are creating this state, and we are utilizing a React hook, which is use ref, and we're setting it to null. File input reference is set to null by default, and we are creating a function to handle the files. It's taking this as an argument, okay, and we are creating a constant of image previews, and we are utilizing this array, okay, and we are grabbing all of these. All of these are JavaScript, okay, and we are taking in the file, and we are appending the URL, okay, and we are taking the ID which is being generated by using the match random.toString and the source string of 2 and 9. Okay, this is used to generate a random string, okay, for each of the images that are going to be unique anyway. Okay, so then from here we are taking these images, we are setting this function, okay, to accept the previous argument, and we are throwing in anonymous arrow function, okay, so then return this from it, where all images, we are creating this variable, and we say let all images take whatever previous images that is loaded, spread it out and add more to it. When more are added to it, it takes the previous, and so we are using the spread operator of JavaScript to handle that. Okay, we then return all images, the length of it, okay, is taken, and if it is marked as primary, okay, we take the first image, the image with index of 0, okay, which is usually the first image. If you put in 10 images, we are going to have 0 to 9. So the first one is by default the one that is marked as primary. Okay, otherwise let's have the rest of all the images. Okay, and mark primary is a function that is created here. Okay, it's taking into arguments, and is utilizing a map array function, and we are using spread operator, spreading all the images, taking the ID. This is just for us to be able to manipulate marking a particular image as primary, like you saw like you saw in action, okay, previously. Okay, and we are creating another function to handle image removal. What it does is update the state, set it to the previous, and we are taking the remove, we are splicing it, taking the index, and we are using 1 to mark, to ensure that the particular index of that image is determined, and it then revoke it from the state. Okay, this is used to handle the whole drag drop thing. Okay, and we are taking the element of it, and we are appending it to data transfer. We are taking in the files. If there is file, we are using optional chaining. If the file is greater than 1, no, it's not 0, it's at least 1, then we handle it. Otherwise, you clear the data in order not for the state to be unnecessary clock. Okay, here we are using another or creating another function to handle the image change. Okay, so these are the functions that are used in the multiple image uploader. It can be a little bit cumbersome for a fresher, but since you have the code, you can always play around it or around them and see what works and what does not work. Okay, and all of these functions, this is where we are. This is just for us to be able to render the images to the UI, to the user in this deep container. Here, to get our thumbnails, we are only looking at the images and checking against the length. Okay, if the length is greater than 0, then display this and put in the image as appropriate. Okay, and this is the button that is used to cancel, and we are using our undo remove image, okay, that I earlier explained. Otherwise, if there is image primary, let it be seen. Okay, and we are undo set primary to make it set as primary. Okay, if it is not, set it. Otherwise, if it is, let it be displayed to the user. Okay, and these are the CSS, tailwind CSS styles, okay, that are used to undo or to display it to the user. So on our multiple image uploader, this is what we have for the component. Okay, and that is used here, taking these two props to utilize it. So far, this is what our form looks like. In our next tutorial, we are going to be working on creating a model that is going to be used to handle data and form submission to the database. And in that lesson, we are going to determine where all of this goes when you close the button, according to what is happening on Zoom when it is closed. And if we find it not necessary to handle it in such manner, we will see. Okay, we shall see. When I click on services, let me click on services. Okay, we can see what we have here. Let's go back to goods. Unit is required, name is required, name is always required. Here, unit is not required. So what it means is when services is active, when we are handling our form input submission to the database, we are going to not require unit for service. If it's good, unit would always be required. Okay. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned and look forward to the next lesson. Bye. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel, and turn on your notification bell to be notified once a new tutorial drops. Thank you. Bye.